Welcome to No Such Thing as Normal podcast with Natalie Hayes and Jess McKeown.
This is a casual podcast where we talk about all the things you're not supposed to talk about in order to help you normalize your real life, because really we're all just a bunch of weirdos having a completely human experience in a society that asks us to pretend like we're not.
And I'm your host, Jess, a gifted spirit baby medium who facilitates deep soul healing by channeling divine messages.
And I'm your other host, Natalie, an intuitive mentor and transformative healer.
Be sure to subscribe where you listen to podcasts, watch our 100% unedited episodes on YouTube, and you can also follow us on Instagram at McJaguar and at IntuitivelyNatalie for more weirdo and woo-woo content.
And if you like this episode, please be sure to subscribe and rate and review and share it on your social media and tag us so that more people can unleash their weird with you. And this week we have our third guest. Our third guest is really special. She's my Akashic mentor. I've been working with her for a few years now. I don't know, maybe 3. But Sherry Mosley has a Master's of Science in Oriental Medicine. She is a certified Shamanic Akashic Enlightenment healing practitioner, author, and counselor, and a certified Reiki master, and has been a psychic medium since birth. So welcome, Sherry.
Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here. It's going to be a party. I know it.
It will be. I'm so excited to share you with everybody, because I always allude that I have an Akashic mentor and she's really powerful and she's really cool, but I don't tell everybody about it because I feel like only with certain clients I'll send your way. I'm like, okay, you need to go see Sherry.
Can they handle it? Can they
yeah. If they're ready.
I'm excited because she mentions you. She's like, I am going to go get a tune-up from Sherry. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean?
I love
spiritual mechanic over there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot. I know what you do, but would you mind telling everybody a little bit about the work that you do with Akashic Enlightenment and how you work with the Book of Truth?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So Akashic Enlightenment was a tool that was given to me through doing my own shamanic work. And with shamanic work, you go into the upper or lower worlds. And I spent a lot of time partying in the upper worlds with my spirit teachers. And, they taught me the Akashic records, which is how it started. And then I started, checking out the Akashic records, learning more about it. And it's very common when you're not doing shamanic practice or shamanic journeying to enter the records that you are given an Akashic record prayer. So, I was perusing and trying out some other people's prayers, and then Arcturians and Jesus showed up in my living room and said, no.
They just showed up.
This is the prayer for you. What are you doing?
Did they knock first?
They just show up.
Oh, no. I have an open contract apparently for them to just show up and tell me what to do. So, ever since I did A Course in Miracles, Jesus just shows up. So, because it puts you into that, Ascended Master Christ consciousness frequency. So they showed up and said, okay, here's the prayer for you. And, of course I write it down and I'm like, okay. And I just kind of forget about it. I think that was important. I should go back and
look at that again.
That was important. Where did I put that? It's really important to write stuff down in a place that you do keep track of. I have a digital journal on my phone, the Memento app. That is not a plug. They do not pay me for that. It's just what I like to use, because then you have a searchable database. So I found the prayer, I opened it, and boom. Oh my God. It was not just the Akashic records. It opens the Akashic records, or the Book of Life, and the Book of Truth. So the first time I opened it, it was loud booming voice. Everything was gold. I was shaking. I was like, oh my gosh, this is important.
This feels big.
Good thing I took a look at this. Right? So what I've learned over time is, yes, the Book of Truth is the big difference. And that's why it's Akashic Enlightenment and not just the Akashic records. So the Akashic records, Edgar Casey said that they are more at the 8th chakra above the head is how we go in there. And Akashic Enlightenment starts at the 12th chakra. So you're already going into the universal intelligence gateway, meaning that, we're opening up the Book of Truth with that. And the Book of Truth is multi-universal knowledge. This is the enlightenment portion of Akashic Enlightenment. It is giving you access to your full ascended template, all this higher knowledge to really accelerate your awakening process. And because of that, it is very high frequency. So some people, it can take a while to get used to being in the frequency. You may get really sleepy. You also may have a lot of the wounds that you're carrying coming up as you are getting used to this high frequency, which is the point of raising our frequency overall, is so that we're dropping these denser frequencies of, old patterns, energy frequencies in our upper chakras that are, playing out these karmic patterns for us to learn so that we can get out of them, right? But once you raise to that highest frequency, which is what the Book of Truth is doing in Akashic Enlightenment, it's bringing you all the way to the top, and you're like, man, why am I doing all of that down there? I need to just stop it. It's not helping me or anybody else. And it's just a really fast way to do all of this because, what can I say? I'm a fast soul and that I like to do this work quickly. It's not my first time around Earth. I'm kind of like, all right, let's do this already. I know how to do this. Let's go. So overall, I try to make everything really simple to digest so that we can just get down to getting to the party. Let's have fun and be in the joy and enjoy the ride, man.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
gosh,
almost
I
fell
love
asleep the first time we opened the records. I had to do some Psych-K to be like, I have enough energy to go into these Akashic records. I thought I was going to fall asleep.
Yeah, it's a spiritual gym, man. You're lifting that spiritual energy. Yeah, we don't practice that here in the West. They're like, what? What? No, I'm going to go to the real gym. Why am I going to bother, opening up this pillar of light above my head to become more aware and enlightened? Why would I want to do that?
That doesn't give you
Right?
biceps.
It gives you a nice glow, though.
It does.
Glow. People are like, why are you glowing so much? It's all the energy. It does. It changes everything. It really, really does. And it is possible to do very, very deep healing. I know you talk about Psych-K, or even if we go traditional psychology, this is at a very rapid pace, far beyond that, where you can, once you're in this field, the Akashic Enlightenment field, Akashic Records, Book of Truth, you can access basically anything you need with practice once you start opening the higher dimensions, right? It starts at 5D consciousness, which is where the collective is coming into, and we go all the way up to 12D, which is the full ascended consciousness, which some templates use the 1 through 8, but it's really the same scale. But once you get into the higher frequencies, things are going fast, and we're doing rapid healing because Earth is shifting so much. So much. Yeah.
It's a ride going in your records.
Oh yeah, but you clear out a lot fast. I mean, it was hard receiving it and going through ego death along with it, but it was better on the other side.
Better.
I'm saying I did a lot of the hard work for you. It's yeah, because it can be really painful to let go of the ego and to go into those higher frequencies. And Akashic Enlightenment does make it a lot easier. It's a lot easier because they're gently holding you, right? And you're just moving out these emotions rather than having to be immersed in them and have to feel them and purge them. It's like, oh, that just went by and that went by and I got the knowledge and okay, we're done.
Pretty painless.
Yeah.
Why is there this because I hear this a lot, this speed, let's do it quickly, things are happening, things are changing fast. Like, is that why things have sped up a bit? And so if everything's speeding up, like, to what? Where are we headed? Where is this quickening taking us?
A mass awakening. Yeah. I mean, even Eckhart talks about it. He says the evolution of the earth, I mean, consciousness is increasing rapidly. That's why everything's falling apart.
Or falling together, right?
Yeah. Well, no, everything has to fall apart in order to see that it already was together.
Yeah.
Right. So, ooh, that's a mind bender there, right? Well, that's more A Course in Miracles speak of like, everything that you've created, this whole matrix is an illusion, right? and you really just need to snap out of it, right? Which is, you know, why someone like Eckhart would have, you can get instant enlightenment. You're like, oh my God, why was I even believing any of this? And then once you see that, you're like, wait a minute, I gotta tell everybody that they're crazy for believing.
Everything's a lie. Yeah.
What's
It's
happening?
true.
What's happening? Right? So yes, and so the awakening is increasing. And when they had me, you know, first brought in Akashic Enlightenment, and they're like, well, you have to distribute this because they're coming. And I'm like, well, who's coming and why? He's like, well, the masses. And I'm like, what do you mean the masses? They're like, is it going to be mass awakening? And I'm like, hold on a second. Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
I want to go back.
I don't want to be responsible for this. What do you mean? They're like, well, you don't really have a choice. You have to do this, right? And this is where, you know, shamanic spirit guides get pretty bossy. You know, they're like, well, no, you have to do this. The world depends on this. And I'm like, well, okay, fine. Who am I to get in the way? I'll just do it, whatever. You know, but that's the first step, you know. So even if there is some resistance, you know, you kind of feel the resistance and then you do it anyway.
Mhm.
Right? Otherwise, they don't really leave you alone, at least in my case. But I've been told that that's because I'm an old soul and, you know, they got my phone number. So,
Show up in your living room. Yeah.
yeah, they just show up in the living room. There's not much I can do. This is what I came here for, right? Yeah. So, but yes, there is a rapid awakening. And this is why so many light workers like myself are showing up with tools to help people swiftly go through this process, because the religions are being torn apart. Everything's being, all the old systems are being torn apart because they're steeped in dogma and agenda and fear, ultimately, right? And so we
Low
need,
vibrations. Yeah.
yeah, we need things that are quick and fast and helpful and fun to help us through navigating this awakening process. You know, when 2020 came, I was like, oh, now I see what they're talking about. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
here it is.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah. So the world really started changing on a massive scale, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So everybody is waking up more.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there was something that came before Jesus showing up in your living room. So, how
Oh.
did you come to this process? How did you come to this work? How did you find your way? Did you, you know, being psychic from birth, that might have had some influence, but what was your journey like to come to where you are now? And I was reading your about bio, and, you know, I was reading with Natalie, and I'm like, oh, Shamanic Journey, gateway drug, right? Because like once I did that, I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, oh, Course in Miracles, another gateway drug that's like, oh, so it's like you kind of see like your breadcrumbs of your pathway, but I'd love to hear what you kind of feel were the big monumental shifts to get you to where you are here.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first I had to get through the shock of seeing dead people. You know, that's when you wake
as a kid.
That was the first step. It really is the first step to being a psychic medium. You're like, oh my gosh, we're staying in this hotel and there's this dude over there in the corner and he's angry and I'm petrified. You know, it was a whole thing. Yeah. And I got to the point of kind of like making myself sick, trying to shut all this down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I actually went and saw a psychic here in San Francisco, and she's awesome. She's really like well known now. I don't. She's not even doing readings anymore. Jessica Lanyadu.
Oh
yeah.
Love her.
Yeah, Jessica, fellow Capricorn.
Yeah.
Fist bump for fellow Capricorn. Anyway, so she did this reading, and she's like, man, you got a shamanic lineage and you got to go get training. And she's like, you're psychic and this and this. And I'm like, oh, somebody finally told me what's really happening. So I went and got my shamanic training. That's the short version. But yeah, getting the shamanic training with the Foundation for Shamanic Studies was profound, because then I got to face my fear of spirits coming into the room. And that would be the bound shaman. So the bound shaman, basically we're all sitting in a circle, and the lead shaman, this amazing woman from Mexico, and she called in the spirits to untie the other teacher who was tied up in the middle of the circle. The entire room was dark. She calls in the spirits. It's like being in a crowded subway, but they're all spiritual beings that are in there. And they go into the center and untie her. And I was freaking out. I was
like physically untied something. Whoa.
She was tied in a rope, and I was in my worst nightmare.
I would be unwell.
Like, oh my God.
I'd be like, yes.
What kind of crap shit is this? No.
All the other students are there, and I'm like, well, I guess it's safe. And I was terrified, And that's when I realized, I was like, oh, wait a minute, they're just like people, right? And someone said to me, they're like, yeah, you just talk to them like people.
Yeah.
Like if you feel sad or scared, then you talk to them. And I'm like, how come I never figured that?
No one ever told me.
But you just have to be immersed with somebody who is comfortable with connecting to the spirit realm. Not just comfortable, but they are skilled. And she was a badass. I was like, man, she just called in the whole realm. It was just epic, to witness that. And so after that, I was like, oh, all right, well, I'm playing in the kiddie pool. I need to get it together. And but no, I went home and threw up after the whole thing. It was
naturally, as one does.
It was extremely intense. I don't mean to play it down. But yeah, the whole intensive was intense, life-changing. And then after that, I did acupuncture school. But the biggest thing was, acupuncture school is good for, learning to connect with people and kind of understand what it's like to hold space with people, be a practitioner. It's good training for all of that and how to set up your business. And of course, Chinese medicine is more or less shamanism, right? So, you also learn about energy a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And the meridians and, all of it, someone sat there and studied, they're talking to spirits to understand what the herbs do, to understand what the meridians do. It's like, how did they figure all of that out? Someone's out there in a field, talking to these higher realms and dialing in, right? And so it's a very powerful experience to go through that. But the biggest one was then, A Course in Miracles. Yeah, and that is definitely a gateway drug. I had no idea. It's like someone giving you, your first drug. I'd never done drugs. So I wouldn't know. I'm a total straight edge. But yeah, I did no idea what I was getting into when I started Course in Miracles. I was like studying for my license exam for acupuncture school, which was so linear. And here I was doing Course in Miracles, unwinding my mind. I just, I had a complete meltdown at the end of all of it. I was just exhausted from studying for 6 months straight after, years of acupuncture school, did a Course in Miracles, blew my mind out. And I was in bed for like a month. Like, what is happening? My entire world is breaking apart. My relationship broke apart. And then I started having the awakening, which is where, the journeys that I share in the Akashic Enlightenment book, that's me going then to the upper shamanic world, talking to Jesus, and he's going, this is how it is. And so when you combine doing A Course in Miracles with Shamanic Journey, this is where Akashic Enlightenment was born. Because A Course in Miracles puts you into that ascended master, Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it, frequency. And you combine that with the, the shamanic journeying and then going to the Akashic records, you're basically just starting to find ways to higher consciousness realms and dimensions, which you do travel in shamanic journeying to figure those out. But when they put it together and packaged it all up into, here's the prayer that kind of puts all of that together. So, there was probably at least a year, if not a year and a half, of doing a shamanic journey every single day to get that prayer, which you're not supposed to really do that.
Yeah.
Shamanic journeying, you're supposed to do it once a week.
Yeah. This is not advice.
This is not advice.
Not advice.
Yeah. So but I clearly I was meant to do that. I was catching up is what it felt like. Right. And so, and I'm comfortable with like hitting bottom and, feeling like crap, but it triggers other people, but I'm okay with that because I know that that's the only place where you're going to get anything, And so I'm okay with that, for myself and going there, which then makes it easier to do this higher level work. Once I did that shamanic training, and your fear is gone after that. Right? It's just kind of like, well, they take you go through being torn apart, your body being disemboweled, you go through facing death. I mean, these are shamanic rites. It's no joke.
I dropped out. I don't know anything about that. I went to the first weekend and I was like, I'm out.
No, thank you.
The dismemberment journey is a trip.
What?
It is a trip.
Dismemberment. Yeah, they tear your limbs off and your head off, and
what is the point?
You're detaching from your material association of yourself, which is also what A Course in Miracles is doing, just at a different frequency, right? So
less head rips off,
Sounds like murder.
Well, it's murder of your addiction to being a human.
Ooh. That's deep. That happens very Scorpio.
Yeah, yes. I was gonna make an astrology joke, but I'm not going to. But no,
I want to hear it.
No. Let's stay on track here. But yeah, so that was what I was when I went through the whole process. It was like, yes, I feel like I'm coming out of the addiction of being human, which I did not even know what that meant. And I was running around, telling my acupuncturist, I'm like, I'm not coming back here. I'm not coming back here. I don't know what that means, but I'm not coming back here ever again. And that's the awakening out of the human addiction, which is, it's funny. So the other part I'm going to mention is, of course, Course in Miracles, but meeting David Hoffmeister. He is a Course in Miracles teacher, and he accelerated me profoundly because I couldn't find anybody to keep up with the rate at which I was going. I was like, I need a teacher that'll pace with me and that has gone there. And I was led to him, and he was talking about there is no free will, and I'm like, ooh, you got my attention.
Oh shit.
Let's do this. He's got Movie Watcher's Guide to Enlightenment, so I was binging all of these, like Matrix and all these movies, and he's talking about A Course in Miracles, and I'm like, oh, this is great, So I did that for 2 years solid, and yeah, I mean, learning so much from him in terms of, you could say the mind training, continuing the mind training. So here I was working with Akashic Enlightenment, doing the shamanic work, and then doing this mind training and continuing what you just learn in the course, which a lot of people that do the course, at some point you get prompted or inspired to do some sort of sharing this way of being. Right, and they actually have a section for teachers, right? So it's kind of part of the path, but yes, and at different phases, I come in and connect with David again to keep accelerating my work because he channels in whatever I need. Which actually, there's a couple other people, which is how it works. Then for me is I'll bring through. Whatever knowledge or healing that I need will come through a person. And there's a couple of people that can handle that. And I don't mean to say that from an egoic perspective. But yeah, I like to go quickly on high frequency, and not everybody can handle that. Right. So it takes a select few, which is what, your soul family is. You're drawn to those that are a part of going on that journey with you, and they will show up and they will do the parts with you that you need to do.
Natalie's part of my soul family.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we all are. Whoever
we all are
now, we're all one soul family.
Everybody listening probably is as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
I don't even remember what the question was.
I don't remember.
It was good.
It was great.
You answered it. It was just like, what influenced you on your journey to get where you are today doing this work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Full circle. Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jess.
Yeah.
I was just lost in the story. This is great.
Yeah, totally.
I know we have to do extra work to ground ourselves with our visitors, because we'll start drifting off and
we're out there. Yeah.
The minute you came in, my guides put 4 100-pound weights on me, and they're like, don't float away, stay present.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here.
We're going up.
Like in the cartoons, 100 pounds.
Like anvils.
Yeah, totally. They're very like comedians. My guys are comedians.
Nail it down. They're
Yes.
right though.
Yeah, if you're listening,
Well,
ground. I feel like we should just have a disclaimer now for every
Yes.
episode. Like, you should probably ground before you listen.
Be careful if you're driving.
after. Yeah, don't drive while listening.
Well, you have helped me so much with like so many different things, including also being an awesome mentor. And like, you introduced me to Akashic Enlightenment through my friend Kayla. She Googled like light language and then found you, and then we worked together with you separately. But what would you say are like the main things that you help your ideal clients with?
Let's see. Well, a lot of people come in saying that they felt called or drawn, right? And that is usually people like yourself who are going through an awakening and they are here to do their light work, right? So I do a lot of activation of light workers, right? So it's teaching you Akashic Enlightenment, first clearing out whatever false perceptions, patterns that you have, doing that through Akashic Enlightenment levels, which are, you could say that Akashic Enlightenment level 1 is, it's like an instant or quick Course in Miracles. Like, you're getting plunged in. We're gonna, detach all this stuff, bring you up to go, oh my God, I have past lives. Oh my God, I'm, a higher being. Oh my God, and then boom, you're starting at 5D. You're like, whoa, right? And then we do the core wound healing, and then we go into connecting with the Elohim light keepers, and then you're like, whoa.
Where am I?
Right? But you're just increasing that consciousness, going into greater and greater depths and awareness. And this is what's needed for those that are going to be at least, if you're a way shower, teacher, seeder of new consciousness, you got to be 7D, 7th density. That's a lot. You're going to break down a large part of your awareness and consciousness to say bye-bye matrix, bye-bye earth, bye-bye a world that I used to associate with. But you guys show up and you're like, oh yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that, and I want to do that. And I'm like, oh yes, okay. I see what path we're on here. Like, I'm gonna do everything. And I'm like, okay, slow down. We can do one thing at a time here, right? But yeah, so it's Akashic Enlightenment levels 1 through 3. Get you into being a teacher and or a reader. And then doing the Aqualorian crystal and light healing, which is, so profound. I mean, they called me to Shasta and were like, we're doing this. I said, who are you? What are we doing? And they're like, oh, this is the Lotus light healing. I'm like, oh, it's fascinating. Tell me more. Right? So you just ask a lot of questions and man, they're happy to teach you. Right? And so now with that frequency, it is super high frequency energy healing on all levels, clearing out karmic cycles, raising you to the spiritual awareness, clearing out the emotional, mental, physical, astral levels, all of its own intelligence. You don't have to go in there and do the heavy lifting. They're like, oh, we got it. We got it. It's all good. So yeah, those two things are the primary, and people usually show up saying, oh, I want that, of course I do a lot of readings for people, but there's also, a different spectrum between, and it depends also usually on the generations, but there are, some in the older generations that, they're part of the 60s movement and all of that. And they're like, oh, I love what you're doing. I dig it. And, they're like, oh yeah, I knew about this way back when, because, I grew up in the community called the Holy Order of Mans, MANS, and they're already working with Christ consciousness. I mean, if you look at their website now, they're talking about all the stuff that we're talking about. And I'm like, oh, full circle.
Yeah.
I didn't really do anything. They already programmed me to do this when I was little, right? But no, it was very much like a Waldorf school. So yeah, the earlier hippie generations, started that. And so I'll have some clients that are part of that generation. And then, there's people that are just trying to find their way, have a healthy relationship, get on their life path, their soul path. That's the other biggest one, which that's great. We're coming into a new earth where, yeah, we need everybody aligned with, where is your joy? Where is your excitement? What are you drawn to? why aren't you doing it? Why are you, depending on the matrix system to support you? And you're unhappy. Let's rewrite all of that. And the more people we get out of that system, well, then the system is crumbling. And now the system is crumbling. So everyone's getting, logged off, and they're going, oh my God, what am I doing?
They're all selling feet pics on OnlyFans.
Oh, my password doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. I'm here for it that everything's breaking down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's
those one-liners.
glitches in the matrix, man. Well, I definitely want to hear more about these Aqualorians because they just sound fabulous just from their name.
They're
and
party.
Maybe some of your other main guides that you work with and how they help you in your work. So we have a lot of people in our audience who want to work with their guides, want to connect with their guides, want to bring them into not even necessarily spiritual work, but just their everyday life and having them as that counsel. So
sorry, they're all laughing really hard right now.
Too, they're like, what do you mean? It's all spiritual work, Jessica. Well, not everybody sees it that way. Haha, you guys, freaking comedians over here. I can't see anything, and they're literally hovering, what's she gonna say?
What's she gonna say?
What's she gonna say? And then they comment like a peanut gallery. Thank you. Thank you to my guides.
They say in shamanism, be careful of what you ask for.
Yes.
Because once your guys got your number, man, they don't stop. And I know Natalie knows.
I know.
I was telling Natalie before this, I was getting a massage yesterday, and my guide's like, you need to ask her this question. I was like, dude, I am getting a massage. And they're like, you need to ask her. It's really important. She needs to hear this right now. She's been thinking about this. I said, if I ask her, will you let me alone and leave me alone? And so she's massaging me, can I ask you a question? She's like, yeah. I'm like, have you ever thought about opening up your own massage business and doing it in this way and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, haha, yeah. Oh my God. Da, da, da. And I was like, yeah, I know that business side sounds hard, but you just got to learn that. And she was just like, oh yeah. And I'm like, okay, I did it.
I'm done.
Can I just relax? And they did show up. So that was nice. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, I'll just say enjoy the wins while you got them, because once you go to some of these higher levels, people are not happy with what you're going to tell them.
They get a lot of ego backlash. It's a lot of ego backlash at first.
Once you get into Akashic Enlightenment, everybody around you is going to get triggered, and Natalie knows.
I know.
They're angry at you, and you're like, oh my God.
It's not me.
I had some people watching, and they're like, what is going on in your life? Why are you triggering everybody? And this is when I was talking to David Hoffmeister, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Everybody off.
We couldn't figure it out. It's like, just the frequency, and we're like, wow, but this is profound.
Ruining relationships.
Oh yeah, well it's because I'm going from level 5 and just slamming up to level 8, 9, 10, 12. People are just flying left and right out of my life. That's what happens when you go swiftly. It's like, we're gonna rip that out, rip that out, rip that out, rip that out, and you're like, okay, just don't get attached to anything.
Moral of the story. Yeah,
so true.
But not to freak people out, you should connect with your spirit guide. Don't compare yourself to my experience. I'm intense. I go fast. I go into the deep end. What did I say? I said to somebody, we're doing cliff jumping here, but don't worry because I already jumped off the cliff and I'm at the bottom and it's all good. Okay. It's a safe jump. I'm here to help you, right? How to connect with your spirit guides. Shamanic journeying is one of the best ways because it puts you in deep and it slows the process down. And you meet them and you have conversations and then they tell you what to do all the time. So they're known for being bossy and hilarious. And, they kind of talk like Yoda, right? Where he's funny, but he's also don't mess with him.
Yeah.
He's a badass. You don't want to mess with him, right? But that was the first way that I was connecting with my spirit guides, was connecting with my power animal, connecting with my spirit teachers. And yeah, to this day, I still use Shamanic Journey all the time, and in Akashic Enlightenment, it's they don't really reveal themselves unless it's part of the message, right? So if you were to learn to connect to your spirit guides from me, I would teach you to do a Shamanic Journey. Yeah, which is, like a 5-class teaching that I do, that the foundation taught me how to teach people how to do Shamanic Journey. So I teach that, but also, it's kind of advanced because you're catching on, and everything I do is a little advanced. So it's not going to be, most people who learn Shamanic Journeying from me are usually, pretty adept, or they're comfortable with going to those deeper levels quickly. Or we're going to have to clear some trauma if it's blocked. So if you're having trouble accessing your spirit guides, it's most likely that you've shut down your higher senses because you were trying to, you didn't want to see what was happening in something that was really stressful. So there's some deeper healing that has to be done in order to do that. But then once you kind of open up, you could say what shamanism calls a benevolent space, right? You're going to the upper world, you're going to the lower world. Or if you're in Akashic Enlightenment, like with Natalie, we did Akashic Enlightenment and then her beings showed up. I don't know if you share who your beings are. Some people like to, some people hate to.
I have.
Hers are showing up, getting all bossy.
He's bossy, yeah.
You won't leave me alone. And I'm like, well, you gotta talk to them. If they're hanging around, they got something for you to do, and you're probably ignoring it. So best to pay attention and talk about it. You can't just. Would you ignore your partner if they walked in and they wanted your attention? You're like, go away. No, I don't want to do this. It's not good for the relationship.
Great.
True.
Yeah. But, you have to have an understanding, at a certain level. And that really depends on your soul life experience of taking guidance and following it, which is also the point of A Course in Miracles, is to get to the point of following guidance, which is the point of all of it, really. So,
which is the toughest part.
It is, because your ego is like, oh, no, where's my agenda and all of this, right? It doesn't get a say. So spirit guides are part of that journey of receiving that guidance. And they can be angelics, they can be ascended masters, they can be extraterrestrials. What else do people get? I don't know. Elementals,
alien dance.
fairies, yeah. And I've had all kinds, but I usually have, the regulars. Everybody knows when I do my events, it's Ascended Master Jesus and Archangel Metatron. They show up for the whole thing. They're in charge. I also talk about the hierarchy of spirit guides. Ascended Masters are more or less the top of the food chain, unless you're talking to pure source energy, which that'll pretty much knock your socks off. But there's just a difference in where you're putting the antenna channel. Right. And Akashic Enlightenment basically blasts out, opens up the whole antenna. Right. So then it's like, oh, okay, well, now it's open season for, any of these beings to come in, because you've opened up all the different channels on the dial. Right. Shamanic Journey, you're kind of coming in. It's a little more easing in. Akashic Enlightenment will open the whole thing. And if you don't have a block, from trauma of some sort, this lifetime or another, then more or less they're most likely going to show up if they have work for you, right? And so because they're already there, they're just not making themselves visible. That's not what Akashic Enlightenment is about, right?
Yeah.
So the Ascended Masters will, they're the ones in charge. So like when I go to Shasta, Jesus tells the Arcturians what to do. It's pretty funny to watch, because I went up there and the Arcturians were there, and then there was a Dhamma and Ascended Master Jesus, and then what's your, I can't remember, what's your guide, Natalie? What are they called? The
Pleiadians?
No, the green guys.
The green guys. The mantis being.
Yes, mantis being. Yes. So the mantis being Jesus, Adama, they all show up, and the Arcturians are there, and they're having a whole conversation of what's allowed. What are we doing? It's a whole hierarchy, right? So Ascended Masters, ascended consciousness, and you could say, like in shamanism, the spirit teacher, which is traditionally an angelic or ascended master or wise teacher of some sort. You know, your personal spirit teacher or guide is then in charge of whatever you're doing in the spirit world, which is why you want them there, because you want to have the security that you're doing benevolent work, right? Because just like here on earth, you know, spirit realm, some of them got egos, they got their own agendas, right? So you want to make sure that you're doing benevolent work, not breaking other people's illusion of free will. If they want to pretend that they're doing something out of free will, then okay, accept it, let them go do that. Don't force healing on anybody. No. You're going to get a lot of karmic backlash with that. So when you're in those situations, you let your spirit teacher organize these situations, right? So Jesus sets it up with the Arcturians, and the Mantis being is actually in charge of a lot of pretty much all the Galactic Federation work. So that's the Arcturians, Pleiadians, the Syrians, Andromedans, and will coordinate what work is being done. You know, someone's got to be looking out for everyone and coordinating all of this. So Mantis being will show up as usually some clicking sounds, you know, and then the Arcturians are like, okay, now we get to come and play, right? And then, or the Aqualorians, right? And they're the other beings that I work with that I met in Mount Shasta after meeting the Arcturians, which was through another friend, and he works a lot with the Arcturians. So I just met the Arcturians first, and then met the Aqualorians, who are, you know, they're ninth density consciousness. So you could say that they're more of an angelic extraterrestrial. You know, they come in as not embodied. They don't have a bodied form. They're in light. And their ship is all made out of light. And they work with the beautiful lotus flower, which is a symbol of enlightenment. And they said, because you're in Akashic Enlightenment, your frequency is out of frequency to meet us and to work with us. And that's why we're going to teach you, right? They're going to teach me Aqualorian crystal and light healing, and they were going to attune me to it, and they did. And so now I attune others to that frequency. So your frequency matters because it's setting the tone of whatever is going to come in, right? And so, I mean, you can already feel the energy shifting now that I'm talking about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I know, I just feel so peaceful and floaty.
Here we go. They're like, oh yeah,
We're here.
it's our turn. Sometimes I can't stop laughing, but I'm going to try not to get into a giggle fit right now. So yes, so it really matters what frequency that you're in. And this is a very important point. And this is from the shamanic training and the shamanic work that I learned, which, you know, Michael Harner at the Foundation for Shamanic Studies. I mean, I was able to learn from him. He's now passed on. So that was a great honor and a privilege. And he went around all over the world learning about shamanic practices from all of these different tribes and gave us like a core shamanism to learn from. So it's such a gift to be able to do that and to learn all of this. And so, you know, as we're connecting to the spirit realms and understanding what our purpose is with them, you know, it's a very humbling experience. There's something coming in right now because I'm having trouble talking. So
What is
like
it?
I'm trying to think. There's other energies coming in, but I'm trying to center back to what I was saying. Yes, okay. So, you know, you really have to have a lot of respect for the spirit realm when you're working in there, because the more that you can get out of your own way, the more that you will be more or less privileged on things to come through. And this is the other point, the more that you get out of your own way, the more that you're able to truly see. Okay. And what that means is you hear a lot of different stories about ET contact, right? The reason for that is because of where someone's consciousness is in their experience. Most likely, whatever experience they're having with humans in that world, they're going to have with their ET contact. So if there is unprocessed trauma, it is going to overlap the spiritual experience. Okay, it's like a projector, and the filter is there, and it's shifting the experience so that they can heal, right? And so you'll feel that also. I know Dolores Cannon did a lot of really deep hypnotherapy stuff, and when I listen to it, I can hear, oh, there's the trauma level, and there's what's actually happening, right? And it's kind of a surreal experience. But once you start listening, you can start hearing the different levels and frequencies, and you can almost feel the space that we're in now, right? The space that we're in now is really deep, very high frequency, and it's hard to think, right? Because it's just
I just want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's a pure, it's a very high frequency because I'm not just talking anymore, I'm bringing in what they're teaching, those higher frequencies. And when you start opening to that, you don't want to get in the way, because what the transformation and awareness that starts coming through is so beautiful. It's like, why am I wasting all this time with all this other nonsense?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know it's nonsense until you're here.
You don't know it's nonsense.
You're like, what have I been doing? Wait a minute. We're all high on the vibes.
The vibes are good. The vibes are so good.
I can't even speak.
Maybe I should just bring in, I think it's time for some aquas. I think they're ready. I'm just saying
Are
that.
they
It's
your
already
favorite? Are the Aqualorians your favorite?
Oh, I can't play favorites. Don't make me. But let's see what they have, because I'm feeling like they are bringing in stuff and we're just not listening. All right, so let's give you guys the spotlight here. Oh, they're very excited. Here they come. Here they come. Here they come. You can probably feel them coming in. Whee! Okay, Aqualorians.
Coming in. It's like a head
What do you
massage.
have for us today? So just bringing in the Aqualorians and the Aqualorian crystal and light healing for whatever healing or messages you have for anybody connecting with this transmission. Wow. A lot of peace and love. So they're going pretty high level here with removing suffering. Because the phase that many are going through is removing a lot of suffering. Because suffering is an illusion. It's a resistance to who you actually are, forgetting who you truly are. And so they're going through all levels of where we like to identify with suffering, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, karmic, whatever it is. It's like they're unwinding, pulling out splinters. I'm also getting some Elohim light language frequency coming in at the same time. So it looks like there's new frequencies being brought in as well, as the Aqualorians assist to bring in the deep healing. And as we shed what is no longer needing to be here, we're able to bring in these new frequencies to enlighten us, our awareness, allowing us to come into peace. Yeah, so maybe emotional as we connect to this deeper place, feeling that pure unconditional love. And just allowing that to hold you and release whatever is not truly a part of you as you allow yourself to accept the higher frequencies and coming back to your original blueprint as the original light being, ascended being you are. Now we're starting to come into the higher frequencies, so it's starting to feel lighter. So letting go of all the denser frequencies. That's interesting. It was like they're also bringing us connecting to Shambhala, which is where this full moon was connecting to. It is the Wessex full moon, which is celebrating the birth of Buddha. And just allowing all those blessings and gifts to really come through. And just dropping any of the fears, little leftover fears. Yeah, fears, dropping unworthiness. Allowing you to let in that connection to Source, Divine, I Am Presence again. Because that is your true connection, who you truly are. No, the sense of just kind of arriving, yeah, to this clear space. Yeah, feels good in here. Soul massage.
Can people
That's what
listen
it
to that?
feels like.
Can people listen to that while driving? Because I feel like I'm gonna have to like put this on you, like the healing part on YouTube.
Yeah, you could just put a little disclaimer to be mindful that there's powerful healing frequencies at some portion through this. So
Okay.
Wow.
Not operating heavy machinery.
Please no heavy machinery. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thank you to the Aqualorians. Wow.
Yeah, thanks guys. they love this stuff. They're like, oh yeah, party.
I've totally
like,
lost track
show
of what we were
off a
talking
little.
about.
I know.
Yeah, well, we're on a whole other level now. You know what it's like. And you're like, well, we just dropped 3 levels that
Where am I?
didn't need to be in. Oh, it's just nice up here. Have you guys seen that video where the guy goes to ask the spiritual teacher Muji a question? He goes up on stage and he goes to ask his question and he starts laughing so hard, and then Muji starts laughing, and they can't talk. They're just laughing the whole time. And then he's like, oh, I get it. And then they just start laughing again. And this goes on for like 30 minutes.
Oh my
Because
God.
it's like the energy is just coming in, and it's like,
Love that.
oh yeah.
That's
The answer
incredible.
is just right there. Yeah. Sometimes I just get the giggles in and I can't stop. We call it the Buddha laugh. Sherry's Buddha laugh. Oh man, yeah, I still feel all the energy. Yeah.
I know,
Well, I'm in
feels
Akashic
supportive.
Enlightenment this whole time, so.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Oh, I don't do interviews outside of Akashic Enlightenment.
No wonder.
No
You know what you're
wonder.
signing up for here. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm sure it would happen even if I wasn't. But
I'm sure the energies would just come over.
woo.
Jess, I forgot all the questions. I'm totally off track. Do you have anything else?
I think just that we know that you have a bunch of replays of transmissions on your website, like the one that you just gave for us, which is incredible. Level ups, healings, ascending stuff, as well as one-on-one session offers. So where can people find you on the web, on social media?
Yep.
We'll just peace out with this because we'll just let Sherry tell people where she can find them, and then Natalie and I are going to float away.
Everything is on sherrymosley.com. So it's SherryMosley.com. If you can't remember that, AkashicEnlightenment.com also links to my website. And I'm on Facebook. I have a YouTube channel. You can search for Sherry Mosley as well. The light language transmissions are there. I also have a Patreon page with the lunar cycle transmissions, as well as the weekly Aqualorian Prime Golden Lotus transmissions.
Yes.
So that is the latest thing that I learned, I would say told to do by Babaji and Yogananda. And Babaji is the ascended being that Jesus actually learned from. So, and that's who I met when I went down to Encinitas in December, there was no options of not going on that calling. It was like, we're going to destroy your life if you don't go. And I said, okay.
Oh my God.
You got my attention, right? It's not so much that they would, but that my consciousness wouldn't shift properly and things would then dismantle, right? So I went and I listened, and it was powerful. Knocked my socks off. I was ungrounded for probably 3-4 weeks, just integrating everything. And then I was told to do the Aqualorian Prime Golden Lotus, because the Aqualorians know how to connect to these high enlightenment frequencies, as you sampled. So that is also available on my Patreon membership, and probably why they may be making me move down to Encinitas. So we shall see. There's so if you go from Encinitas to Joshua Tree to Sedona, that's the vortex energy line, and it goes into the water, into the city of light, which then I think peaks up and then connects to all the Hawaiian Islands. And Yogananda had a vision of building the temple in Encinitas when he was still living in India. So when I started getting called there, I didn't know that, but it made a lot more sense once I heard that he saw it. So it's a very powerful vortex energy there. And once you start dialing in, and I do have some of those transmissions. Oh God, I think, yeah, the new moon eclipse I did while I'm at the Yoga Nanda Center, but that's on my YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Oh, awesome.
If you want to sample the vortex,
Go there, go to YouTube.
It's right there. Don't do it while you're driving.
Disclaimer.
Don't do it while you're
No
driving.
forklifts.
Yeah. And on my website, though, there are the other events that I do, and I've been focusing mostly on the Galactic Federation, working with the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Andromedans, and bringing through the powerful, powerful energy transmissions, and talking about ET contact and all of that, and how all this energy healing is working. And these sessions that they've been doing since February are profound because we're in such a profound period of transformation right now. It's accelerated, high frequency. You don't want to miss out on what is going on right now because the energies are just going to keep increasing. So if you're wondering what to do, that's a great place to start. I have a new online platform that you can just watch stuff and stream it or download it, whatever you want.
Love it.
Nice and easy. So
I love
it's all
it.
there for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure we'll have you back to talk about aliens.
Yeah. And light language.
Yeah.
It never ends. It never ends. I know we could go on once I get started. Yeah, I could go on, but we can round it up for today.
I think
Sounds good.
we've gotten a lot today.
We did.
Yeah, I've lost complete track of linear time, right?
Yeah, what day is it? I don't know.
Yeah. So welcome to High Frequencies. We're outside of linear time.
I love
I
it.
believe once you let go of linear time, you're enlightened, right?
Look, Jess, we're enlightened today.
We totally are.
Boom! Look
I
at
love
you
it.
guys.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, no, we're letting go of it. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll give everybody a break. we won't put everything in at once. Yeah.
No, we won't. We'll do one at a time. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on here and bearing with us and our questions. And
oh, it's been my pleasure.
It's so much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
And to our listeners, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Bye for now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you.